Hi everyone, Bear from Bear Reads Books with a weekly update. It's been difficult to find the time to get out here and talk to you. I have extra people in the house, which means extra noise, and just the routine is slightly off. So finding a quiet spot to do a video and then finding the time to edit a video has been a challenge. So today, this afternoon, late in the afternoon, it's quiet in my garden. So, I thought I'd give a weekly update. I've got plenty of other videos planned, but what I thought I'd do is a couple of things all bunched together. So I have a little mini book haul of the stuff that I've purchased in the last week to 10 days, some secondhand, some brand new. A bit of an update of things I've finished, things I'm reading right now, so kind of like a Friday reads, even though it's not Friday. And then really a bit of an update on what my December's looking like and how I'm going to finish out 2019. So let's just do a mini update. This week was a bit of a tricky reading week. I really don't feel like I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I didn't read too much. I haven't been on YouTube too much, even just looking at other people's videos or answering questions or replying to comments, and for that I am truly sorry. I'm back into it, right? I'm back into it now. And I think the thing that tripped me up was right at the beginning of the week. If you remember my previous video about all the books that I had finished for non-fiction November. And I know we're 2 weeks into December already, but there was a book in there called DarkEMU by Bruce Pascoe. And then a little over a week ago, there was a comment on that video that was hurtful and racist, not towards me, but really towards the book. It wasn't saying anything meaningful about Bruce Pascoe and DarkEMU at all. In fact, it was just downright horrible. And I deleted the comment. You're not going to see it. But I think it upset me so much that I've just not read and not spoken to you and not commented on anything else. It was really a horrible thing to say. And when I went looking online about why people would say this about this little tiny book called DarkEMU, if you haven't seen the video, DarkEMU pretty much turns on its head all of the previous history of Aboriginal Australia, where we saw the Indigenous people as nomadic and savages and really not creating a civilization. And that science was turned on its head by Bruce Pascoe's book and all of the evidence that he brought together in his book, and it is covered and filled with evidence that they created a very important civilization, one of the first and the longest lasting civilizations on Earth, in which they created permanent homes, ways of cultivating food and of storing food. They had defined boundaries that they traded with other communities across those boundaries. And the science, for me, who's studied history and studied this part of history before and had previously learned all of those other things about Aboriginal culture and Aboriginal history, the science seemed to me very sound. But then I got this comment, and it was a single comment. I deleted it. I thought carefully about deleting it. It didn't add anything to the conversation. It was just downright racist, so I deleted it. And then when I went looking online, I find that there's this entire subculture of people who hate this book and who want to tear down the science and the findings of this book. And not only that, they want to tear down the author, Bruce Pascoe. And I was truly disheartened by that. So I've had a week off. Pretty much everything, reading, commenting, and this community. And I'm pretty sure the person didn't even watch my video. I think the person went looking for anything and everything to do with Bruce Pascoe's DarkEMU and then copied and pasted the same comment. I'm pretty sure that's what they did. So you probably find the same comment everywhere on the internet or everywhere on other people's videos about DarkEMU. But it did upset me and it did turn me away, but only for a very short time, and I am back. So that aside, giving you a a reason for not being around, here's a little mini book haul. So it is over the last couple of weeks. So let's quickly go through these. Couple of, let's see, some, what is that? Oh, wow. Secondhand books. I have to love. I love the Hardy Boys. I've spoken about the Hardy Boys before, and I found this in my local bookshop, in my local second-hand bookshop. The Hardy Boys Case Files, number 3, The Cult of Crime. Oh, I love the Hardy Boys. So I'm going to start reading the Hardy Boys again in 2020, and try and get my hands on as many copies of old Hardy Boys books as I can. I see Steve Donoghue talk about romance novels and these kinds of books, and old science fiction books and comic books. So I'm going to diversify a bit in 2020, and I'm going to start looking at Hardy Boys. I'll show you some of my comic books and graphic novels, and hopefully you'll find that interesting. Also on the shelves at the second-hand bookstore, Joyce Carol Oates' Jack of Spades, which again I showed you a Joyce Carol Oates a week or 2 weeks ago. Haven't read it yet. Haven't read this one yet. So here's 2 Joyce Carol Oates books that I can read. 3 is a book-proof copy, strangely enough, of something called Past the Shallows by Farvel Parrett. It's an interesting one. I'll put the spelling and everything down below. You may never have heard of this book or this author. It won prizes when it first came out as this author's first book, and their second book has just been released in the last 6 to 8 weeks or so. It is an Australian author, but they received quite wide praise for this first one, and I think the second one is also receiving quite wide praise. Let me read a little bit from the back of this one, seeing as you may never have heard of it. Harry picked up an abalone shell, the edges loose and dusty in his hands, and every cell in his body stopped, felt it, this place, felt the people who had been here before, breathing and standing alive where he stood, people who were long dead now, long gone, and Harry understood, right down in his guts, that time ran on forever, and that one day he would die. The skin on his hands tingled and pricked. He dropped the shell and ran. Excellent. Oh, yeah. So that's Past the Shallows by Farvel Parrett. And people were talking about this during Victober. Never read this person. Elizabeth Gaskell's North and South. Natalie from My Reading Days had the same experience. Had never read Elizabeth Gaskell, read North and South, absolutely loved it. Found a second-hand copy, bought it, gonna read it. And that's it for second-hand books. I do have a couple of new books. Let me leave that till last. I have never read a John le Carre novel. Why have I never read a John le Carre? Even all the really famous ones, all the ones that have been made into movies. I've obviously watched some of those movies, but never read a single John le Carre novel. So his brand new one, which is again receiving quite high praise, is called Agent Running in the Field. Sounds great. Nat, a 47-year-old veteran of Britain's Secret Intelligence Service, believes his years as an agent runner are over. He is back in London with his wife, plus with the growing threat from Moscow Centre, the office has one more job for him. Blah, 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 we know what's going to happen. A nice spy novel. I don't mind a good spy novel, so I don't know why I don't read more of them. Another Australian one, Jack Sarong, who's another, I've talked about this before, the resurgence of mystery writers, Australian mystery writers, male and female. This is Jock Sarong, I said Jock Sarong, on the Java Ridge. He's done a couple of books. This one sounds very interesting. On the Java Ridge, skipper Izzy Natoli and a group of Australian surf tourists are anchored off the Indonesian island of Dana. In the Canberra office of Cassius Calvert, Minister for Border Integrity, a hardline new policy on asylum seekers is being rolled out. The storm is now closing in, and there's catastrophe for all. Not sure what's going on there, but it sounds interesting. Something about asylum seekers to Australia, which I've talked about recently with the biography of Behrouz Bashani, and now fictionalised in something like that on the Java Ridge. And finally, Ben Lerner's The Topeka School, brand new, only in the last couple of days. The reason why I bought it is because leaving the Atocha station, which I listened to on Scribd, blew me away. I loved it. It was tricky and difficult and really challenging. When I say tricky, I mean people have complained about Ben Lerner with his literary tricks and tricks of language that make his books too impenetrable. I didn't find that literary trickery. I just found it very, very beautiful writing with so much imagery. I've got another little video where I talk about leaving Atocha station that I'll post separately. But I was so moved by leaving the Atocha station that I instantly went out and bought the Topeka School. It's only then that I realised that the main character's name in the Topeka School is exactly the same as the main character in leaving the Atocha station. His name is, and I can't remember the guy's name. Maybe there's some sort of thread going through them. I don't know whether he just uses the same character names over and over again, but I'm really keen to read this. I do want to talk more about leaving the Atocha station, so I'm going to do a separate video about that. It really did excite me. Anyway, that's my little update. As for other updates, I've got a couple of other videos recorded that are ready to go out, including a tag video and something about Ben Lerner and a few others. So I've had a quiet weekend, so I'm able to record lots and lots and lots. So if you see me in the same shirt over and over again, it's because I finally got a chance to get in front of the camera, and I'll do as many videos as I can for you. So that's about it for me. Enjoy your Christmas shopping. I hope you Christmas shop. I finished mine today, and that's why I'm a little bit excited. I finished my Christmas shopping today. Everyone's got something, everyone's got a couple of things, but really no bookish gifts. There's some artistic gifts, there's some nerdy gifts, but no bookish gifts. Interesting. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, wherever you may be, and I will see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.